Mandy, do you live
I want
in
him to get him to hold it so you can get a fuller view. This is my neighbor's stoep, but it gives it's a sense of where I live as well. And then I can show you my red vellies as well.
Your red vellies.
So
Ingrid, we'll talk later.
Okay. Where are you?
Oh my word, I'm coming to visit.
and just do a little bit of a sweep so you can see the whole zone. So this is the mountain behind our house.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
Unbelievable.
That's a nice looking backyard.
The view we're looking at now is more towards there's where I live, in that direction. Underneath that berg with the orange on it.
Are you scared we're going to stalk you so we can't see your house?
No, I don't have Wi-Fi at my house. So my internet cafe is my friendly neighbors.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So you can see how we're suffering with the lockdown.
I know, it's a hard life, huh? Terrible.
It's
Can I ask everybody to mute themselves, please?
Oh, no.
We'll ask them for input later, Sally.
Okay. Just when I thought I was finding Mensa. Then you mute them.
You found them. I promise you found them. And they're not going away. I promise. They'll be here for a while.
Okay, cool.
So let me do this formally. Sally Andrew, welcome to Life in a Garden Online. It's absolutely fabulous to have you here finally. Been waiting for this for a long time. Fantastic. I read about you.
Thank you. Since it's formal, I want to do a little curtsy.
Wasn't quite right.
And so nice to meet you. I think we had some communication a while ago when we were hoping I'd come to actual life in the garden. But I want to know, before you ask me 100 questions, what is life in a garden? And when I was going to come to the real place, what did it mean and what is it?
It's actually my home.
It's your home.
It is my home. So it's my home, and before lockdown, I used to host these kind of events here almost every weekend. So we'd have an author come talk, or a gardening talk, or a talk on health or dogs or whatever. And we do that 3 out of 4 weekends a month. And then I used to do this. I had a coffee shop in Northcliffe. I used to do the same thing in my coffee shop until I closed that. And then I started doing the same thing from home. And well, now we do it online, and I do it every day. So it's a completely different vibe now. So once things get going and sort of normalize a bit, I'll come back to having some events in the garden. Because it's really nice, because then we put on lunch, and then the dogs make a nuisance of themselves, and it's a lovely event. And we'll get back to doing that once a month, I think. But I think for the most part we're going to continue online, because at least people can get there. You can come to an event because you're online. Also,
even when things change legally, people are shy to leave their homes. But what is odd is I think it's the first Tannie Maria event I've had where there's no cook or dear.
I know, you didn't bake for us. I'm really sorry about that.
I know. Well, I did, but I ate it all myself. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Some of you have got your own stuff there.
Okay, so now can I interview you, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Although I'm sick of my own voice, it's nice hearing other people's. So, go.
Sally.
You got 17 questions.
No, I got about 37.
Yes,
but
correct.
Anyway, how did you end up in the Karoo?
How did I end up in the Karoo? I'm just going to shush the neighbors. I ended up, when we started off, Bone and I would go on a lot of trips into the bush. My partner's a wilderness artist, and I love being in the wilds. And we'd spend a few months every year. We'd head off into the wilds. And I'm trying to think I had already moved here. And then we started thinking, instead of visiting a wild place, let's live in a wild place and visit the city when we have to. So we went on a bit of a quest around the Southern Africa, looking at different places. And in the end, we found this, which was close enough to Cape Town. It's 330 k's. And so we could still have a bit of the city life we needed. We've both got elderly mothers. We've got friends in Cape Town. And it just feels really wild here. It feels like Africa. It doesn't feel like the Cape. So it's got these ancient wari trees, and it just gave us both place of peace. And then we had a friend who had property here. So it was actually at the end of our rounds. We went on all these, visited Namibia and visited various places. And this was right at the end. And it just felt like home. And it's felt like home ever since, sort of a mixture of 10 years and 10 million years. It's got an ancient feeling of home.
Is it 10
and
years
I just
already?
feel more peaceful here. It's been 10 years we've been living here, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I just feel more peaceful here than anywhere else.
Well, I think it probably is more peaceful there than anyone else, quite frankly. And is Bowen able to make art with no problem in the Karoo? Is he more artistic?
Yes,
or less?
what he's done here, I don't know if you got to see him, either my website or on my Dropbox. He has built the most exquisite building that's sort of a mixture between a Malian mud house and a Gaudian. It's curves and shapes, and he's built the most exquisite writing room, which I use as a writing room and also a healing room, but that's another story. And so he's done a fair amount of his art he's a wilderness pencil artist, and he does very detailed baobab drawings and a lot of trees and animals. And so he doesn't usually do sculptures, but he sculpted this whole house. So that's been a large part of his creative output, has been that building here. But we still go on our trips to the bush, and we still kind of need that. And I usually begin and end a trip. I usually begin a novel out deep in the wilds, and I sort of recalibrate and disconnect and reconnect and come up with a plan for a book there. And then he usually starts drawings there, but his drawings takes months to finish. Like my books, I guess, except my books take longer. So that's where we kind of like get started there, and then we can continue the rest of the year in the civilization of where we are here.
Creatures living in it like?
So I beg your pardon?
What's a house with two artists living in it like? I mean, often when you're in relationships, one's the artist and one's the grounded one. So which one are you?
Oh, geez. It depends in some ways. Energetically, he's the grounded one, but I'm the more practical one when it comes to getting stuff done. And he gathers a lot more stuff, and our house is a constant. But luckily, I mean, it's not a normal tidy house. There's sort of zones that function and other zones that are complete chaos. And but there's also balances. So my workroom is completely pure and empty and beautiful, and it's shaped like, I wish I did have Zoom there so I could show you my workspace. But as I say, maybe you can find a photo if you've got any that just show it's like the inside of an ostrich egg, but bigger, or the inside of a whale with ribs.
Oh, and fantastic. That sounds amazing.
Amazing acoustics and beautiful views similar to what you're seeing now. And that's very empty and peaceful. And then the house itself is kind of clutter and chaos and
I like mine.
Projects and collections. And
what's your writing process like? Do you have a little ritual? Do you light a candle?
Started the practical.
Yeah, when you sit down to write, is there a ritual involved?
Kind of. It does vary a bit. I mean, I'll get up and faff, and usually I'll go for a walk or a run in the morning. I had a cold about a week ago, and so I haven't been running, but that's been a new adventure for me. And then I usually try to get started writing at the crack of noon.
Okay, that's quite late in the day already for writing. I mean, usually writers wake up at before dawn. And it
depends. Sometimes life has just got more faffy stuff, or the water is. I mean, what I quite like about here is it's not that simple. So when we get water from the river to drink, and then the water sometimes don't work, so we've got to go up and fix something. And so there's usually a little bit of walking around and being in the world, which I feel is grounding for me before I get started and making breakfast. And so I used to really try and push for early, and I found it was just stressful. And then now I don't push, and I still get started late, but I'm just a bit more relaxed with it. And I did used to push earlier because my health used to be really bad, and I only had 2 or 3 hours functioning in the day. But now I've ramped up my health and doing a lot better, so I can get started later, because I found that whether I start in the morning or the afternoon, I've only got 3 to 4 hours of juice for writing anyway. So I thought, I'm better now, I can write all day, and then I couldn't.
Look, 3 to 4 hours of being creative is actually quite an intense intense period of time. You know, to push more than that is stressful.
Okay, good. Thanks for that. I thought I'd one day. But I was just a lazy git.
No, you're not lazy. It's just, you know, one needs to pace oneself.
Yeah.
Sally, have you always been a writer?
I wonder. I mean, I do remember early on at school really loving doing that. I remember once imitating a couple of the Winnie the Pooh stories and just writing my own version and just loving that and being so excited by that. And interestingly, someone was asking about childhood characters, and I thought, oh, maybe those shaped. Maybe Tannie Maria's Winnie the Pooh and Jessie's Tigger. And anyway, so I did really enjoy it, but it's as a career move, it was really very late in life that I took it up and took it seriously. I think in 2006, I wrote my first book. But I'd been doing creative things before, but it had been integrated, it had been secondary to my mission in life, my political mission. And the creativity had to serve that instead of the other way around. And it was only when I was totally burnt out and ill and drained that I allowed myself to start doing what I really loved. So I have always really loved it. But it hasn't been I'm 50 something. I'm old enough that I actually can't remember exactly how old I am.
Funny, I could never understand people like that. And then suddenly I woke up one day and I thought, am I 51 or 52? And I couldn't actually remember. So I had to calculate.
Oh, did you also have that?
Yes.
But it also just doesn't, it's not that I'm more forgetful. It doesn't matter so much. I mean, the difference between 50 and 60 matters, but 51, 52, 53, 54, maybe I'll notice 55, you know?
No, when things don't work.
50 was a big deal. So it's now, so what was the story about? Oh yeah, I mean, it's quite late in life to be getting your career and your vocation. But everything else I've done has fed into it. So I feel that, you know, there's psychological studies I've done, there's adult education work I've done, there's creative work, there's political work, there's social justice work. It all is there in my books. So it's not like I've ditched all that, but it's kind of feels like it's built up to, so the same way I'm physically home with the Karoo, I'm vocationally home with the writing.
Well, don't you think that you have to go through a process before you reach a point where you are where you're supposed to be? And unless all that stuff comes before, you can't get there.
Maybe, but some people know what they want to be. I mean, I thought when I was 12, I want to be a lawyer in a trade union, and I thought that was my path. And there's some people who do that,
union specifically.
and they say that. Yeah, very specific.
So, are you a plotter or a pantser?
Plotter.
Are you a plotter? And do you?
I'm a plotter. Maybe you must explain what that is. I only learned the term recently.
You explain it. See, you just learned it.
Oh.
Putting you on the spot here.
A plotter plots their book carefully out beforehand, and a pantser, the term comes from writing by the seat of your pants. And a lot of writers will say, I don't want to plot, it's boring. They just want to know, they don't want to know what's going to happen next. And I think I just don't operate like that. What I did actually as an experiment in the middle of my last book, Death on the Limpopo, I said, okay, I'm going to pants it. I know I'm here now, and I want to end up there. And I had physical locations because my characters were on a journey up north.
Such a wonderful journey that was.
I'm not sure what's going to happen on the way. And I'm just going to write chapter by chapter. I'm going to keep it exciting. And I did, and it was very exciting, but I found it quite exhausting, and it dragged on a bit long, and it's just not my temperament and the kind of books I write. I mean, I guess Christie, for example, she plotted for months, and then she'd sit down and write it all quickly. So, I mean, I've also got quite a lot of, because it's a mystery book, I've got quite a lot of interest in weaving clues and surprises and events together, and I want that laid out. And I feel that's important, and it's almost like something I owe to the reader. If you read a book and the plot goes awry, I just think that's bad manners.
It is bad manners if you waste
somebody's time. A lot of pantsers, they still get it right. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just a different way of operating. But for me, the magic is in the plot's got to be really good. And I spend a lot of time working on the plot, and it matters. But the magic for me and the unknown stuff, the surprises, are in emotionally how things develop and a magical way of phrasing a thing so that it makes you go, or so I constantly get surprised by how things happen. I don't need the surprise of knowing who the murderer is and how they're caught and all that. You know, there's someone sneaking up behind your right shoulder.
I know.
Moves
She goes
slowly.
wherever I go. I can't get rid of her. Every time I look, she's there.
I just thought maybe she was like sneaking up and she was going to mug you, and you were suddenly going to go, ah!
I sometimes do that. I actually thought, I'm so glad you can see her, because I thought she was imaginary.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Okay, no, she's
Mom.
but I don't know. Maybe other people can't see her. Can the rest of you see her?
Can you see me?
Okay.
Hi.
They're all in on it.
Hello, Gerda.
Yeah, that's Mom. Say hello.
Hello, my love.
Okay, now go back into your box.
Are you your hood's mother?
No,
No.
we have different mothers, same father.
Okay.
Very complicated
Nice to
family.
You can write about me.
Can I?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
you sound like a
God.
great character.
Okay, I'm already writing about you, Mom.
Move aside, Mandy.
Sally, have you always been a cook?
Oh, I knew you were going to bust me on this when one of your emails you said, "Oh, you're a woman after my own heart." I'm not a cook.
So where do all these fantastic recipes and baking come from?
That's Tannie Maria. She is the cook.
So
Tannie Maria.
do you have an alter ego?
Yeah, kind of.
Is there a short little fat woman with curly hair in your life? Besides me.
You haven't got curly.
No, I mean I'm sorry, I just need to wipe my nose, which I can do now because you're all on Zoom, so I can go like this. You can't do in public. It's just a bit cold out here.
Oh, that's so sweet. He kissed her good morning.
Is it
Do that
morning?
again.
Yeah.
Let's see that again. Sally missed it. She was blowing her nose.
Take it off. Take it off.
Okay, so let's talk about Tannie Maria, because she actually deserves a lot of airtime.
I need to answer the cook question. Does deserve an answer.
Okay, go on.
Because I get into big trouble when I say I'm not a cook, because then all my friends and family who've had amazing meals say that's rubbish and you mustn't say that and it's not true and you're one of the best cooks I've made. But I do make amazing meals now and again when I feel like it. But when I say I'm not a cook, it's not to be rude about myself. It's just that there are people who are proper foodies and who have proper recipe books. And until Tannie Maria, I think I had one recipe book, some Hare Krishna recipe books that I bought because I'd eaten like 300 of their free meals and I felt a bit bad. And I enjoy food, and I've been eating like since I was born, hey. I mean, I've been eating 3 meals a day, so there's more. So it's not that I don't know food. I've eaten a lot of food. I enjoy food, but I'm not Tannie Maria. I'm not obsessed with food. I'm not a proper foodie. There are all these brilliant, amazing people who know their food and know recipes. When it's time to cook, I don't want to read a book. I like reading, I like cooking, but I don't want to look at a recipe book. It's like, I need the food to make in my tummy already. So I see what's in sometimes I put on the gas stove with the oil in first, and then I quickly look. Then I decide what I'm going to cook. It's like I want it to over already. And if there was someone else in my house who cooked for me every day, I'd be very happy. I'd say now and again, I want to do an event, and I'll cook kind of ceremonially. And I understand and appreciate the power of food, but I don't want to elevate myself to Tannie Maria or proper foodie status by saying, no, I am a cook. So the cooking process in the book, but I also don't want you to think that means the recipes aren't good. They are brilliant, but they take me 6 months. I got to test everybody. I have big groups of people. I employ professional chefs. I then get other novices to test them out. It's not a thing that I do easily because that's the bit of reality I share. That's the main bit of reality that I made up. I actually made it up to make Tannie Maria seem mad, to be honest, that she's just so obsessed with food. And then I discovered there are a lot of other people who are really mad.
A lot of people share that madness, yes.
A wonderful kind of madness.
It isn't.
So that's
a nice sign of madness.
Recipes as well. I don't have the patience for every day, but I love to invent a recipe. So like the Venus cake was 6 different attempts with a crazy food obsessed young woman who just sort of took over a whole house, and then she got thrown out because it was covered in cocoa and flour, and then she went to a neighbor's house. And so we really, I mean, I'll get into a meal and really create it, but it's not my day-to-day activity. It's like this big adventure into another land that I've got to create these meals and find them and test them, and they are amazing. And I'm in awe of the meals, and I'm in awe of Tannie Maria, I'm in awe of people who are such brilliant cooks. And it's like a way of being, you know, the true cooks. I don't know if you're one of them. I think you might be. It's just,
yeah, unfortunately I am.
bones. It's a little bit unfortunately, because it can border on the eating disorder side of things, which I deal with in the book that's to come, book number 4. But it can be, is that line between where food is a fantastic celebration of life, but it can become an avoidance of life. So it's that line that Tannie Maria threads, and I think a lot of obsessed cooks do tread that line, but maybe not. I mean, I can't generalize.
That process to getting those.
I'd like to interview you soon if I get a chance. You and that invisible creature.
That process to getting to those recipes almost sounds like a book by itself.
Yeah, well, there will also be a recipe book. So that will be after. But when we finish book 4 will come out sometime. I'm busy editing that now. Come out, and it's all very slow. So it'll come out late next year or early the next year, and then we'll do the cookbook probably the year after that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I look forward to that.
We'll have a space, which Tannie Maria is so happy with, because I don't know if you're in the beginning of book 1, she says, you know, she wants to write a recipe book, and then she gets distracted by all this murder stuff. So she just wants to do this recipe book. So it'll be fantastic for her when she finally can just stop all the other blah, blah, and just do a recipe book.
Where did Tannie Maria come from? In your head?
Where did she come from?
Is she somebody you know?
The name, I know a Tannie Maria, and I asked her if I could borrow her name, although it is a fairly common name. And she, in fact, moved to Barrydale after I invented Tannie Maria. So she started trying to become a bit more like the character. Moved there, started driving a bakkie and things. But the voice of the character was first when I was one of these wilderness trips when Bone and I went deep into the Brandberg. I don't know if you know the Brandberg in Namibia. It's a very wild place, a little ancient sand place. And we go really deep into the bush. We just, with the Land Rover, and we literally barrels of water and all our food. And there's nothing there in terms of social amenities. We take everything. And Bones are old hatted, you know, with his Swiss Army knife and other things that he takes. So we go deep into the bush, and it was under kameelboring. In fact, I wasn't out walking because the day before I'd insisted on going into a leopard's cave that I'd been obsessed with for some time, and it growled, and I ran all the way home. And then I decided I'll just stay under the kameelboring tree. But that's another story.
Did you see it?
Anyway, that's why I was spending the day in camp. I wasn't going anywhere. And I started with the concepts of that I wanted to explore. I enjoy murder mysteries, so I wanted that genre. And I wanted to explore the theme of love. So I was looking for a combination sort of archetypal things and things that I'm particularly interested in. I wanted to explore the theme of love, and I had the notion of the agony aunt as a way of exploring those different themes. And I wanted the character to be down to earth, but also a bit wacky. I had a notion of even having her on some sort of pills that sent her a bit off and seeing invisible people.
Like the rest of us.
She came in book 2 when she had a combination of diet tablets and antidepressants, something she took that did make her start seeing kudus and things. And then, but then it was only really in terms of actually feeling her. So I had all these notions of themes and murder mysteries and love, and then I decided the food thing would be the aspect of making her a bit crazy, was the obsession with food. But then I really just sort of sat and listened for a voice, and then wrote those first lines. Isn't life funny? You know, hang on, I've got some crib notes here. I've got some crib notes, and I think it's actually time to do a little bit of reading.
Oh, go for it.
So these are the first lines I did hear there and wrote there, and then I felt her, you know. Isn't life funny? You know, how one thing leads to another in a way you just don't expect. That Sunday morning, I was in my kitchen, stirring my apricot jam in the cast iron pot. It was another dry summer's day in the Klein Karoo, and I was glad for the breeze coming in the window. "You smell lovely," I told the appelkoos confit. When I call it apricot jam, it sounds like something in a tin from the spa, but when it's confit, you know it's made in a kitchen. My mother was Afrikaans and my father was English, and the languages are mixed up inside me. I taste in Afrikaans and argue in English, but if I swear, I go back to Afrikaans again. The apricot confit was just coming right, getting thick and clear when I heard the car. I added some apricot kernels and a stick of cinnamon to the jam. I did not know that the car was bringing the first ingredient in a recipe for love and murder. But maybe life is like a river that can't be stopped, always winding towards or away from death and love, back and forth, here and in veer. Still, even though life moves like that river, lots of people go their whole lives without swimming. I thought I was one of those people. So then I knew her.
So did you know what she looked like and everything at that same moment?
Sorry, my computer's telling me it's 11 hours. I had a feeling of her. I must say, for me, the sense of a character is more from sitting inside them and feeling what it likes to be them. So I've got some visual description and images, but that's not what's starkest for me. It's like I enter into, I'm an empath, which has had other usefulnesses in writing and in healing work that I'm now starting to do, but I'll kind of get a feeling of a person. So even an imaginary person. So when I'm writing her words, it's less that I'm seeing her. Sometimes I will draw the characters and I'll have a bit of a visual sense, and I have to have enough of a visual to describe them. But it's not so detailed that, I'd imagine that everyone who reads it has got a slightly different visual image of all of the characters. I don't focus on that, but it's the feeling of who they are in their outlook, in their being, in their energy, in their life, in what matters to them. So that's the more of the sense. Obviously she's short and she's plump, seriously plump. She's fat, face it, she's fat.
That's okay. I'll stand up for you. You'll see that I match the criteria.
But I know with the editors, they say, exactly how big is she and what is she wearing and what's the size, 36, what, and then someone else saying, no, that's not big enough, and complaining with this. So I sort of feel a bit irritated that I let myself put in those details, because they don't matter so much whether she's 38 or 40 or 42 or such things.
40, 48, 52.
That's a number too.
Sally, and your supporting cast of characters?
She's overweight. She's not healthily. Her body mass ratio isn't healthy, but it's not that unhealthy either. And she enjoys life and she enjoys food, and it's much more unhealthy to be at the other end of the spectrum. That's what worries her when she sees these skinny people who don't have a proper appetite. That's something to worry about.
The other thing is that she eats real food. She's not eating fast food, processed food. She's actually eating food that she's cooked. It's not...
She's eating food she's cooked. Although in book 4, she does start eating some fast food, and then things are not right.
Something's wrong in the...
Something's going wrong. Having like burgers and milkshakes. But the first burger and milkshake is at Diesel and Cream in Barrydale, which isn't quite so fast foodie, but then she does go to Steers and have like real junk food. But it's clearly a diversion, and she knows herself that this is not right. She should be cooking her own food.
Obviously, your psychology background has helped with the agony aunt aspect and the writing of the letters and the incorporation of food is the Tannie Maria side.
Yes, that has been an aspect. I started off majoring in psychology and South African economic history, and then it was part of also the BA LLB. So each thing I started doing when I was studying, I'd also do in practice. So I did a lot of counseling work, and I was working with the Detainees Parent Support Committee. So I was doing a lot of counseling in the 80s with people who'd been in prison, and doing other forms of counseling. But I just felt that I wasn't ready. So each time I started a career in something, I'd do it in practice. So with law, I was doing paralegal work, and I'd get a sense for what it was. But with the psychology, I just didn't feel at the time, I didn't feel I could pursue it. I wasn't up to just full time taking on other people's. It felt like I'd have to take on other people's stuff, and I didn't feel strong enough for that. And I was more driven politically, I think. But it was a part of what I studied and had interest in. And that did inform things, yes, definitely.
And your cast of characters, I mean, they're very varied.
They're very varied. So
You know,
we've got Tannie Maria, then we've got Jessie, who's the investigative journalist.
Oh no, motorbike.
And then the latest book, we've got Zaba, who's the strong black, no sugar investigative journalist. She's a much more hardcore version of Jessie. Jesse's just in awe of her. And we've got Hattie, who's...
Do you remember David Bowie's wife?
No.
Imam. Wasn't he married to Imam? David Bowie, is that right?
Okay.
That's the impression I have of her. You know, like that tall, statuesque, strong female character. That's exactly the impression that she gave me.
And Hattie's more of a Mary Poppins. The editor is more of a Mary Poppins type character. And Henk, who's sort of the strong, silent type, but a bit reserved. But,
with a nice moustache.
With his chestnut moustache.
You know who she reminds me of? Do you remember Angela Lansbury? Wherever she went, there was death and destruction. Is Tannie Maria the same kind of person? Does death follow her?
No, but the thing is that Angela Lansbury, every week there's a new murder, whereas Tannie Maria, at least there's a few years in between.
So living in the Karoo is not that unhealthy. You know, your stats are a little bit better. You can last a bit longer.
Oh no, I mean, all these cozy mysteries are kind of a joke. I mean, the murders that happen, in fact, cities, all things, it's really more over like someone being stabbed over a box of cigarettes because they're drunk. And I mean, firstly, the murder is very, very low. And secondly, real mysteries are not very common in the murder world. I mean, there are some, and they're interesting real life cases and such like, but it's not a reflection of what happens here. The characters and the dynamics to some extent are, but they're not those kind of murders here. They're more like, you know, farmer shoots his wife. Hey ho, it's area. Farmer shoots his wife. It's quite short and gruesome and boring.
And then everybody shoots the farmer, right?
Well, it depends. He might be the policeman.
Well, listen, KZN's got a serial killer going around at the moment.
Interesting murder not far away from here. There was someone drowned in their own water tank. The body discovered a bit later. That was quite a exciting, gruesome one.
So is that going to feature in the next book?
No, it's too gory. I write cozy mysteries.
Do your characters live in your head? Do they have little conversations with you? Does this one have an argument with this one?
They don't follow me around all the time like your invisible woman over your shoulder.
Yeah.
I tend to, unless I've got a serious unresolved problem, and then it might stay with me when I go for a run or a walk, but generally they leave me alone. I mean, they energetically, I feel they play a role in my life. I feel the existence of Tannie Maria as a character keeps me grounded, keeps me cooking, helps me have humor, helps me always see things in a less analytical fashion, because I've got quite a overactive intellectual analytical brain. And Tannie Maria cuts to the chase. I mean, she can analyze a situation, but she doesn't go. She just tells it how it is or sees it how it is, and usually a little bit left field version of how it is with a quirky twist of humor
and some roast beef.
Roast beef. Twist of rosemary. So they exist in my life energetically, but I'm not constantly thinking, and maybe because I've worked out the plot, whereas the pantsers have just got to think the whole time.
That's fair enough.
But they do talk in my head when I'm writing. Then a lot of, because so much I've established, like now I'm on book 4, I've laid a lot of ground. So often I'll decide a situation and I say, okay, guys, what are you going to do with that? And then I'll watch how each of them respond. And I might tell them how it's going to end up. And if they want to change that ending, that's fine. But I'll come up with a plan. So this is what's happened. This is where I wanted to go. What can you do with it? And then then I'll watch what they do. And often enough it sticks with my plan, but if it doesn't, I mean, like sometimes, I don't know if it was in the last book Days on the Limpopo, I wanted Tannie Maria to go home and make brandy marmalade with cardamom, and she went and had sex with Henk on his desk, which was not my plan. She was just
that's really rude of her. Like, you know, you have one plan, she has another.
I mean, that's not a major plot deviation, but there is an amount that she's just been to the beauty parlor and he responds to her, and she's never like Tannie Maria. And I've also developed a bit. I mean, I was am and was in my youth a feminist, and we had quite a hardcore feminist in the 80s. I mean, we just didn't do mini skirts and lipsticks and paint our nails and stuff. So it just didn't matter. Didn't shave the armpits. So it just, not because it wasn't so much a statement, but we had other important stuff to get on. You know, there were people being abused and and we were, and this whole priority, we would shift getting priorities right and straight. So I discovered quite late in life the wonders of, like, I've now got painted blue toenails and lovely peach lipstick, and it's very exciting, and I love it, and it's delightful. I mean, as a different priority. I mean, and in its place, it's lovely. And there's also a different kind of feminism now, with, I mean, a lot of the young Black women are like really like over the top about how gorgeous they are as part of your strength of who you are as a woman. So there's different generational stuff. But I'm a little bit discovering, together with Tannie Maria, like she gets a new peach lipstick and she goes to the beauty parlor. And why did I come on this whole diversion? Oh yeah, because she went to the beauty parlor and then she suddenly like, oh, woo, looking hot and feeling hot. And then, so that's when Henk responded to her, and they had sex on his table instead of making marmalade.
Is that?
I digress. What were you saying?
Is that at the police
Can
station?
I show you my blue toenail? I'm so enjoying later life, the pleasures of superficial things.
Sometimes it is nice to be like shallow and superficial. As long as it's not the main theme through one's life, it's okay.
And I tell you guys, I also discovered really late in life tinted sunglasses with a little bit of yellow in them that makes the sky turquoise, and a music system. And it's not superficial. I tell you, this is what gives you this direct access to just the joy of being alive. And I was missing out. I thought all these shallow people walking around with their music, doom, 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 the sunglasses are like, get a life, guys. But now I'm learning. They had a message for me.
I've worn more lipstick since lockdown than I have more lipstick since lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yes, because every day when I do a Zoom thing, I put lipstick on.
Oh,
I had to go and buy lipstick yesterday because I'd run out.
Wow. I bet it's on special because no one's wearing it because of the masks. I keep forgetting it. I go to town, I put the lipstick on and then the mask on and then the lipstick's all smeared.
Yeah, no, there's no lipstick under my mask. But when I Zoom and straight after the call, it comes off. So now I have dominated this conversation with you for the last 40 minutes. Is there anybody who would like to ask questions? This is your opportunity to go mad.
Can I ask for a 2-minute pee break?
Go for it.
Okay, and I'll give you time to think of a really, really, really silly question.
A really shallow question. Let's go. The Karoo. The Karoo.
You know, she mentions that she was sick and that you can only do 3 to 4 hours of work a day. Can I ask her about that you get like chronic fatigue or something like that?
I think it is an autoimmune disease of some sort. I actually read an article. I'll post the link later. I wanted to save it. Where one of the things is that they actually moved to Karoo for health. One of the other reasons. So it'll be interesting to see what she says about that. So,
okay.
So Ingrid, who do we have in common?
Now that I'm like in front of everybody. Well, I saw Mark Natilowitz as one of them.
Mark who?
All right then. Maybe I must. You got people on your name that you don't. So are you in Johannesburg?
Yeah.
So where's your house when you have
in Darrenwood, between Cresta and Linden.
Okay, I'm on the other side. I'm in Senderwood. Oh, one of my darling crazy friends is Janine Janine Preston.
I don't know Janine Preston.
Am I on the right person?
Yeah, there's 15 mutual friends. I do know Carla Drucker.
Okay, she owns the baby stuff.
Okay, so Kim Skop, Ivor Blumenthal, Tony Cox, they're authors. She's an author. Darren Poswell's my cousin.
Oh, really? Because Pam Pam Mackenzie is one of my best friends in London. She was at my daughter's wedding.
Okay.
In,
Daron Mansour is just the most gorgeous looking creature in the world.
And he found a girlfriend so quickly. I needed a toy boy. I work with his sister Tally on fundraising for the Edinburgh Show.
Oh, okay. I don't know that side of the family. I just know him because I know his friend Danny. Danny was a little boy when I was growing up, and now we're kind of the same.
So why are you friends with Janine Burbick?
Janine who?
Burbick or Preston?
No idea.
You know this is being recorded, hey guys. You know this is being recorded.
I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. We have 15 friends.
We haven't got there yet. We haven't started like let's badmouth people yet. Ingrid, do you have a question?
I'm just pausing you before things get bad. I also want to do a quick ad break so I don't get into trouble with my publicist. Is in case you people don't know, I'm an author. And I've written 3
We've
books.
read all 3 of your books.
Really?
So don't tell us.
Okay, but what I will tell you, to tell your friends, is that they're on special for Women's Month. I think they're usually $2.60 or something, and they're $1.99. I don't think that's $1.99, but still it's less. $199.
But you are on Kindle as well.
I'm on Kindle. I don't know what the Kindle special is. Probably one. There probably is a Kindle special.
Yeah, but we have it in our book club, and 2 of us from our book club are listening to you now. So I'll just have to see who's got it. I just want to ask you, when you say that you can only work 3 to 4 hours a day and that you moved to the Karoo because of health, did you get chronic fatigue syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay. My daughter's got it. So it makes sense. And she's now 30 and pregnant. So lying horizontal for the first trimester, but second trimester's here and she's feeling a bit better.
That often does help people actually, pregnancy. It gets your immune system happy. Just for curiosity, since if I'm being evangelical about it, something that helped me a lot, one of the things was called The Lightning Process. You can Google it and there's a book on it, which is called, I think the book is called Getting the Life You Love by, I'm sorry, my brain's gone. But if you
she is under lots of people and stuff like that.
I'm sure. No, it's quite boring. I mean, all the advice I had, I could write a book on the 300 different therapies.
So the what? The light?
The lightning process.
As in lightning zap. But now what I've been doing is something, oh, thank you, my darling.
Oh, he's very well trained.
This is the neighbor. I don't know if it's the partner.
No, this was my man. The neighbor would give me biscuit. The man doesn't do biscuit. Yeah, and then the other thing I've been doing recently, but that's a whole nother story, is biofield tuning. And in fact, I'm training as a practitioner, and that's just my health is now on another level of health. I'm aging backwards now. By the time I'm 90, I'm going to be like rocking, running up and down that mountain.
Benjamin Button. Look in your 50s. So it's
biofield tuning, but that's another story. That's but that, and you can do that.
Did you only get that late in life, or did you always have it?
No, that's new. That's like since February I got trained.
No, I'm talking about the chronic fatigue.
Chronic fatigue, it probably started. It started quite young, like 18 or so, and I was wiped out and really flat on my back for a decade. I mean, I really couldn't brush my hair. Having a bath was really a big deal. I was really wiped for a long time, and then I went on the other thing that helped me quite a lot was a fast.
She's a vegan.
It's been a long journey. Yeah, diet was a big thing. I ate raw food for 2 years. So
but at least you came out of it. That's fantastic.
That's another reason my diet is so different from Tannie Maria's. Is all the things that she eats were things that were not in my diet at all. I didn't touch all her ingredients.
You clearly craved them.
No wheat, no sugar, no. Sorry.
You clearly craved them to put them in your book.
Yeah, I must have. That was like the alter ego. But now I'm well enough that I can eat those without consequence. Not every day.
But you get to know your own body. She's got to know what she can do and what she can't.
Yeah, it's very much any health journey is your own journey in a way. But every now and again you hear a thing. In fact, it was Bridget Pitt who put me onto the Lightning Process, another writer. We both were nominated for some award, and I thought, oh, I'm so grateful that happened, because I met her and she referred me to this. And you know when a thing is right. People suggest thousands of things and they're mainly irritating, and not irritating, but they don't. But now and again you just get goosebumps and know that's the right thing. But if she does look at it, the things I'm recommending are all at a very little cost, no side effects, can't do any harm, but they only do good stuff. I've done all the other stuff.
Can I ask you one other health problem? Did you ever have glandular fever?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the ME is related to that. There's the Epstein-Barr related.
Yeah. Okay.
Gerda says, I love Hank. I get quite stressed when Tannie Maria and his relationship isn't going well. I hope he's a permanent fixture.
Oh, hang on. No, there's an important pause now. I told you Bo brings tea, but now my fantastic neighbor has brought a whole pot and cream and fussy biscuit.
You were supposed to bring that.
One of the descriptions I loved in Death in Limpopo is the... Oh, that's so sweet. Where the scones? Yeah.
One of my friends makes the biscuit often, and she says she's always got a tin of biscuit now in her kitchen.
I can't do that in my house.
Those muesli biscuits. They are
Tannie Maria's biscuit. Yeah, she makes them, and she says she's always got a tin available now.
They are so fantastic.
And the rusk. Are you talking about Eve, Trace? Oh, yeah. She makes the rusks, and you have to do book club.
I can tell Michelle Cohen has got a really silly question.
Yeah, she's waiting. She's poised on the precipice to spring it on us. What is it, Miss?
After this.
Kijk nou my mooi beskuit nou. Dis is self gebak. Met swinkies ook. Buttermilk biscuit. I'm not showing you my neighbors in case they get arrested for having people on their stoop.
Yes.
It
looks like there's clearly social distancing there.
Yeah, we got long distances.
Michelle,
we're waiting patiently for this question.
Sorry, Michelle, you were on stage by the biscuit.
I'm just offering myself as a taste tester. I'll come anywhere. I just love Tannie Maria, and I love your writing. It's so evocative, and I'm pulled in. I've been loving her for years, and the same with Henk. I get so agitated when she's, hesitates, and she's sort of second guesses herself, and I'm going, do me a favor, just jump in, damn it. I love your writing. It's beautiful. It just flows, and it's really wonderful. You do a fabulous story, and looking at the back there, I can see why a lot of your descriptive phrases come from this beautiful background you have. It's so amazing.
Particularly when they're on that road trip and there's that mountain, and she says it looks like a pile of biscuit, except the ones at the bottom are a little bit wet from the river. Remember writing that?
I remember biscuit fontaine. And the combination sounding a bit wrong because rusks get soggy.
Yeah, something like that. I knew that. Okay, I was giving you the English version, all right? And then when they're just about to get shot, and she's thinking, and I didn't get a chance to try the chocolate cake. I should have just had
the Bella.
I mean, seriously?
Bella's divine loaf. Being charged by the elephants. I like that scene. Makes me laugh. Michelle, did you start off by saying you're volunteering as a pastry chef? Did I make that up?
No. As a taste tester. Yeah.
Tester. Okay.
Yeah.
But not actually cooking any stuff, but you'll come and eat. You sound like my kind of chef.
Yeah. I'll just come and eat it. I'm very happy.
Well, maybe we must do that sometime when Mandi's place is open, we get some proper chef who can cook my recipes, and we'll come and taste them and see if they're good enough.
I think that's a fabulous idea. I've actually got a list.
We need some proper foodies there like Mandi, and not just people who scoff like me and Michelle. Ones who can actually say, yes, it needs a bit more salt or something, instead of like, oh, lekker nog.
I will volunteer Tracy because she cooks unbelievably. At 5 o'clock, she doesn't know what she's cooking. When you sit down to eat, it is yummy and delicious.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Have you got everyone's contact for when we do a real time to eat something event?
Oh, I do. Trust me.
Are you all in Joburg? Okay.
At the moment, sometimes we have a couple from England, one from Geneva, one from Australia. it all depends on the time. New York, we've had New York guests as well, so it just depends on the time. We even have an author on here. Kathy, you're very quiet. You haven't said a word.
Here's Kathy Park she's in Cape Town. Hey, Kathy. Hello.
I want to know how long we have to wait for the next book, because I can't hold my breath that long.
Next year.
I think it's only actually, I mean, things went a little bit Yomaka. The COVID things got delayed, books didn't come out, and it was quite a disaster for the publishing industry. Because even they operate on quite a small profit margin, and even a month of nothing. And then even when the bookshops opened, there was only a third of sales. There's been a little bit more Kindle, but it was a big loss, and they couldn't be. So I'm not sure what the delay is going to be, but it was either going to come out late next year or early the following year. I'm busy doing the edits now, but I edit my book, I don't know, between 4 and 10 times. Hey, Margie in Cape Town. She's also in Cape Town. She's objecting to you saying everyone's in Joburg.
Sorry, Margie. I didn't know you were in Cape Town.
I'm also
don't have to know everything.
Lockdown.
You have to know everything.
Proofreading, and it's so hard to get. People have just said they stopped writing. They're just doing blogs now because So it's hard.
When I've been to Cape Town, I haven't written. I've done admin and a bit of research and stuff, but I've come back here to write. There are a lot of houses to rent in the reserve and the whole of the Karoo. There's been quite an influx actually when people have been able to travel. And bear in mind, when you travel, it won't be to see anyone socially. You'll travel to do some work, whatever it may be.
Yes, like visit the sea.
What about a road trip, girls? We can do a road trip. It'll be fabulous.
Yeah.
Can I bring the dogs?
I did the road trip. I've done it a few times, but I did it again after I'd written my book, focusing more on the food, of the Death on the Limpopo road trip. That's such a lovely trip. And the restaurants I mentioned are all real awesome restaurants. So that's part of the cooking road trip.
Mind you, when I get in a car these days, just getting dressed is so exciting.
Taking your pajamas off. I notice all these Zooms are just the head up, no.
Exactly. Just from here up, the rest you don't want to see.
I was just about to recommend a book to you, Sally, and then I realized I didn't see it. I see your name is actually on the cover as well. The Love and Miracles of Pistola. You've actually written Richard. I didn't know that I was here. It's just, she reminds me, her writing reminds me very much of yours. It's Hilary Prendini Toffoli, and there's food in this book as well. It's also, like when he was talking about I'm still right at the beginning, but I can see that I'm actually going to love the rest of the book. What's she making? She's making ravioli or something. Toffoli or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lovely book.
Yeah.
I think they cut my quote short. They said it's a rich book. I was saying it's rich and layered like an Italian torte. It's really full of lots of yummy food.
And they cut that out. Oh, that's crazy. That's so nice. So yeah, but she doesn't like Zoom. So we can't even, I'm gonna have another go and see if she's gonna.
She doesn't like Zoom.
No, she doesn't like Zoom. I don't know if she doesn't like Zoom or she doesn't like online events. I don't know if there's a distinction there for her. So I'm going to ask again, because I did ask her to come and talk, funny enough, for this week. And apparently, no. But I'm going to try again, because this book is just absolutely delightful and it would be lovely to chat to her as well. And her background also sounds really interesting. So yeah, I'd love that.
Fun story.
Sally, advice for anybody? No, that's okay. I'm sorry to interfere with your breakfast.
No, it's the buttermilk rusk. They're really nice, and they've got like little extra brownie things in.
They're nice and crisp.
Yeah, no, I'll save them for later. They were just part of the event.
What advice would you give? Mesh, did you say something? What advice would you give to anybody who wants to start writing?
Right. I mean, that's the main thing, really. You don't wait for the muse. You don't wait for the time. You don't wait. Write. Don't. And also, I mean, I think it helps to also join writing workshops. There's lots of lovely writing workshops that people do. But the main thing that makes you a writer is not if you publish, it's if you write. And you've got to put in the hours. But it depends whether you're writing there are a lot of different reasons we can write, and one can get a lot of joy and pleasure from writing even if you're not published. It's a gift expression and creation. It's a joy and activity in itself, and it doesn't need a validation. So to start with the pleasure of it, and I mean, there's different kinds of advice depending where you want to go with it. Publishing is another world. You do need to be willing to operate in that world if you want to get published. I found a lot of people, they're beautiful writers, but they're just not willing to be edited or consider what the market is. So there's a lot of aspects to being a successful professional author. That's not the same as being a writer. But a writer, the main thing is, and everyone knows it, and they can sit and go to long lectures on things, but actually you've got to sit down with your pen or your laptop, whatever you do it, and put in the hours or the minutes. Just give yourself permission to do that, and don't somehow have a little separate space for the creator and the editor, so that you can just do it, and it doesn't matter if it's. I joined I've never thought I could sing, but I joined this song making group just for some event we did, and they start with the notion of dare to suck. So you've just also got to override that sort of petty, judgmental thing that so many of us carry. And we often carry it in the area that we really love, So people avoid doing the things that really matter to them. They'll skirt around the edges, and they'll do a bit of this and a bit of that. But the thing you love, you're scared to suck because it matters to you. And then you don't do it, and then it's just a waste. And this may be your only life. May not, who knows? But it's certainly your only life in this form as this human being with this pen and paper in your hand, and don't waste it. If you like to write, do it. If you don't, stop pretending. Do something else you like. Go bake those wonderful rusks.
What do you read?
Oh, sorry. Can I ask a question, or you want to finish?
I was just saying what you're saying is so opposite, because when there was a man came out from America who was just an extraordinary human being, and he had a group of people there, and he said, just sing. And someone said, oh no, I can't sing. He says, no, you can sing. Everyone can sing. You might not sing well, but everyone can sing. And that's the same with writing. Everyone can write. You might not write fantastically, but you can write, and once you get started, it kind of takes over.
Sally, so how long does the actual book take to write? Because now you're saying that you're on the editing, but yet it's going to take another year before the book to come out. So you write the book, and then you go in it again and change it to what you think your market would like, or what you would like.
What I would like, what I'm happy with. I mean, overall, I strategize in terms of, that I'm in a genre that sells. I stick with certain characters. But I must say, when I started this, it was in spite of the market. I researched the market. They want gory stuff. I can't do that. I need to do what I love because I live in the book. But it's also just consideration that you just bear in mind when you deal with publishers what their reality is, instead of being cross with them because they don't do this or that to serve you. You need to understand the market is more what I'm talking about. But you have to do what makes your heart sing, or else you're not going to sustain it, either professionally or personally. But in terms of how long it takes, I roughly take a year to write a book and a year to edit it. That's roughly what I take to do.
Is that first book any close to what it is at the end of the year of editing?
Yes, very close. It's very close. So it's not for other people, it's not a huge difference. For me, it's a huge difference. I want that sentence, I want to rewrite that sentence 4 times till I feel it gives me goosebumps. And and it says the same thing. The information is the same. So I do like to play with the words. There's a stage, I mean, it depends. There's different kinds of edits. It also goes to my agent, and it goes to the publisher at different points. And they say, no, this is really a problem, this area here. But mainly, I haven't done huge edits. They're more, but sometimes there's structural things like this character or this issue. But mainly it's line edits kind of stuff of just making it flow, or repeats of words. And just a feeling and threads, and just sort of, if you've forgotten, you've given a red vellies in chapter 2. And then I also ran it by a lot of different people. So for example, with the Death on the Limpopo, I ran it by a young investigative Xhosa woman journalist. I wanted to, does this feel authentic? Are there things I'm missing? Because I go across a lot of cultures, and I want things to feel write, and so some of it's word and some of it's feeling. And then, for example, now I'm doing I go into Tannie Maria's eating disorder a bit more directly. I give her shame. I was thinking, poor Michelle's going to suffer. I give her a really hard time with Henk in book 4. And she spirals into like hardcore junk food eating and realizes she's got an eating disorder and starts to tackle that. And it's not my field. I mean, I go to 12-step meetings because I'm codependent, and that's something, so I'm familiar with the rooms, as they call them. And then I sat in on some Overeater Anonymous meetings, but it isn't my personal issue. And I will run that. So I will give that to an OA sponsor, and they'll read the whole book and get a sense of, does this feel right? And it's not just technically. I'm interested in supporting people's healing process. It's my bigger picture, social, spiritual, political. I mean, I'm into having the fun of it, and I love writing it, but I'm also on a mission. And I want that to link with people in a way that is helpful to them and real. So I'm looking for real, that is it authentic, but I also want to say, is this going to help people move? It's a short version. It's a book. It's not like 15 years in a program, but I want it distills the essence of the usefulness of that program and thread that into the book. So I'll get specialists in on different things to read and give feedback. And sometimes it means changing. I mean, some changes with some of the political, sometimes the changes are just a few words here or there, but they make quite a big difference. Those words said or unsaid make something feel right or feel wrong.
So I'm sure that most authors do what you do, and then you read a book and there's grammatical errors and then there's words left out, and you want to tear the pages out of that book.
Yeah.
And I've never found it in your book, and I don't know if they do something special when they put it on Kindle, but it's on normal books as well. I read both. But when you find reading now, the grammatical errors and the double words, it can drive you nuts.
Sounds like you'd make a good proofreader or a good line editor.
Yeah, because I've been reading forever, and my kids as well. And you can spot the mistake immediately, and it just.
Well, you can. Obviously, the authors. I mean, I've also got a really, really good. I mean, I think just in terms of Umuzi, the Umuzi of Penguin, they've got that little label there. They're just really, really good. I mean, they had 3 different proofreaders. They also put, when a book is doing well, then they put more. So it's a bit of a catch-22. If a book is doing well, then you get more attention on it, and things get gone over with a fine-tooth comb. And then also with my books, I had 5 editors because it was in 14 languages and different countries. And so at one point for the first book, there were 5 different skilled editors who all read it, and so there was very little chance for a problem to squeeze through without getting squashed.
Sure. So
what languages have your books been translated into?
I once memorized them, but I can't. I'll see what I can come up with now, starting with the more unusual ones: Estonian, Catalonian, Polish, Swedish, German, Italian, French, American.
Wow.
It doesn't count. It's on my website. Have a look at my website. It's got such lovely photos and videos. When I was in the early days, I had a friend and we had such fun doing videos and stuff. But on there's all the different book colors, Turkish. But one day I'll remember them all, and then no one will ask.
Meant for you to remember.
My favorite line now, I must say, is when she gets her red vellies, how her red vellies started walking before her feet went into them.
She tried to keep up with them.
I just love that.
I love that you love those lines, because that's the real fun bit for me. Like, you can't plot that. And you're just writing a scene and then that stuff happens, and that's the real pleasure for me.
You know how they say it's not what you say, but how it makes you feel? Your books, I love the feeling I have when I finished reading your book. I hate finished reading them, but I just love the feelings that they evoke. It's just, I enjoy every minute, and I recommend them to whoever is around.
She does. Are you ever going to have movies made of your books?
Yeah, TV series. We've got it 10 funded. It's just waiting for COVID to calm down. They'll start late this year or early next year. But I'm just sort of like, well, I'm careful jump up and down because it's going to be different. It's going to be different. The characters are going to be different. That there's a Scottish co-producer. Tannie Maria is going to have to be Scottish or half Scottish. They're going to change a lot. But it's going to have its own life and it's going to be fun. And in some ways, it's going to be very similar to the plot. But I know I struggle with seeing movies when I love a book. The movie never is going to make it. But they're having a lot of fun.
As long as she has her red vellies.
I'll tell them that. That's my bottom line.
Gerda said she was so inspired by her, she went and bought red vellies as well.
No, but
as a complete aside, Gerda used to work with your husband. Tell him I say hello.
With Bowen?
No, with Gerda. With Gerda, with the red vellies.
Oh, with Gerda's husband. Okay.
Yes, I used to work with Gerda's husband. Tell him Tracy says hello.
The one who got a kiss just now.
Yeah.
Okay. Tracy used to work with your husband, Gerda. I thought she was talking about you worked with my husband.
No, I worked with Gerda's husband.
Okay. But I like that. This is what a social event should allow for a little bit of socializing.
Yes. Yeah. And wine. Wine is important.
And wine, yeah. But in the morning, it's biscuit and tea. But next time we meet, we can do it in the evening.
Yeah. But,
and have a feast.
Next time I'll make the biscuit.
Yes.
Cool.
And Tracy will drop them at me. So I can eat them too.
Next time we'll meet in the flesh.
Please God, when this nightmare is over.
Ladies, I can't thank you enough. Sally, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting to you. Please send love to Bowen. I've actually met him. I didn't even realize that I've met him as well. How long have you been together?
20 years, going on 21.
Then I've probably met you as well. Have you ever been to their home in you and Bowen? Been to Eleanor and Yehuda's place?
Yes.
When? I'm pretty sure that we've met before, so that's quite amazing. Yeah. In fact, I remember meeting Bowen. We went to somebody's house, and the house had been renovated, and it came. They had this beautiful chandelier, and they got the chandelier because somebody had thrown it out. It was on the rubbish dump, and I'm pretty sure that's when I met Bowen at that house. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah. In those days, I was lying down a lot, so if you saw me, it was briefly,
Okay, that's fair enough. In and out. Anyway, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting to you. Can't wait for the next book, so we'll do that definitely again when the book comes out. And definitely, if you're ever in Joburg, we will have an event just to meet Sally Andrew, okay? Just to meet Sally Andrew. With biscuit and tea and wine, if we ever get that stuff back again.
Fantastic.
Everybody else, thank you so much.
Angela just put a message in the chat. Thanks, Angela. And thank you, everybody. I'll do a curtsy.
Oh, can we do it better than this morning's book? Angela, you must read Sally Andrew book. Start with the first one first and then read the other two. Recipes for Love and Murder.
Thank you. You can have an encore. Have an encore, do it again. There you go. We'll clap until you're finished.
Good job.
And then please join us tomorrow morning when we chat to Karen Jennings about her book on Ireland. Karen lives in Brazil, in Sao Paulo now. So she's getting up at 4:30 in the morning to talk to us. Eek, I'm getting up at 10:25 to talk to us. So please join us then. Thank you so much, Sally, and everybody else. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So nice to see you.